So the saga continues for the Guard, and well, we got this competition update from VCT Americas yesterday. Today, the 5 players who won the 2023 Ascension Americas tournament for the Guard on July 9th were released from their team contracts. We met with the players this afternoon and let them know that they are now free to pursue opportunities with an organization or individually as free agents. The players will have time to either land new teams or present suitable candidate organization for the Ascended slot. We're very eager to see them continue pursue their careers as Valorant players. So basically, because the Guard were released from their team contracts, because the Guard just released those players and made them free agents, now Riot is kind of acting as if this is like a free agent team won Ascension, right? Is essentially what's going on, right? So the fear before was that another team could have just paid the Guard and said, like, we'll just take your team and, you know, we'll just get the slot, right? You don't sign the paperwork, we'll take your team, we'll get the slot. But now that the Guard have just fully released those players, and so essentially you would think that, you know, those players are now free to kind of choose whatever they want, that kind of fear of an org just paying the Guard maybe isn't there anymore. And so Riot is now letting them, you know, look for an org if they want to, or sign with someone else and have an extra team in the Ascended League. Yay, it worked. Yay, good. Obviously, the big question, and I don't know the answer to this, and I couldn't find an answer to this either anywhere, but if you do know, let me know. How many of the Guard players have to stick together to find an org? Right? Like, because, and this is how the free agent, like, if a free agent team won Ascension as well, like, do you just need, like, one player? Do you need, you know, like 3 of the players? Do you need a majority of the players? Do you need the whole 5 players to stick together? Like, how, I don't know how many players you actually need to stick together to make this work, you know, for the Guard, because obviously 1 or 2 of the players could maybe get bigger offers from elsewhere and want to move, and then, you know, that might create some confusion. Now, Leo tweeted out as well. He tweeted this: after working directly with the players, reviewing the process, and giving ourselves more time to think through the problem, we've landed on a path that gives them a chance to compete in the VCT Americas League next year. I want to thank everyone for their support of the players. We moved too fast when making the original decision, quickly realized it had been a mistake, and your feedback made that clear. I'm glad we've found the chance to right this wrong and let the players play. Now, this is big, right? There are a lot of, you know, big organizations or corporations like Riot who, when they make a decision, it's like, unlucky, go next, right? There's nothing you can say, nothing you can do. They're gonna put their own, you know, kind of mindset first before anything else, right? Their decisions matter to them, and that's all they care about. And so, unlucky if you disagree, right? But this is great. You know, this is good in a way that it shows that Riot are, you know, willing to listen. And there's been a couple of these kind of situations, right, where Riot has made maybe some controversial decisions that people haven't really agreed with. This is obviously kind of a pretty high profile one with pretty high stakes, I would say, more so than a lot of maybe some of the other ones. And it's good to know that they are willing to, you know, change their mind when, you know, it's clear that people just aren't happy with it. I actually wonder if Riot just thought, would anyone care? Right, when they made the initial decision, like, oh, let's just not promote anyone. Like, let's just kind of be done with it. Don't promote anyone. We'll promote 2 people next year, whatever, right? And you know, see you later, right? I probably bet they were just like, let's just wash our hands of this, right? It's a messy situation. Let's just, like, you know, just not even bother with it, and no one will care, and, you know, we'll just go on with 10 teams. That's probably what they thought was going to happen. Obviously, people don't like others getting wronged, and so we ended with, you know, a bit of a you know, a bit of a mess in terms of people not being happy, but it's good to see that Riot is willing to listen. And so now you've got the Guard players like Valorant tweeting out here, officially looking for an org for VCT Americas 2024. Thank you, Riot, for reconsidering the decision. A special shout out to the community for voicing your opinions. So yeah, clearly, you know, Valen here at least, you know, is saying looking for an org, right? He's not like saying he's necessarily like a free agent looking for, you know, just any team. He's looking for an org, right? He clearly, seemingly here wants to stay like, you know, us as a team, we're going to stick and, you know, try and find an org to go for VCT Americas, which obviously will create, you know, somewhat probably of a bidding war for these Guard players. But what I found interesting here was George Geddes tweeted out that, you know, they won't get an org, by the way. See recent tweet. And the recent tweet was basically that the Guard are going to, you know, break up and field multiple offers. Now, here's the thing about this that I don't really see happening. I think the chances of the God kind of sticking together and, you know, getting an org is actually very, very high. Because if, even if just what, even like if they need the full five to stick together, you might think, oh, well, the chances aren't great of that happening. But just think, if you're like one player and you get an offer, and you just saw Valorant's tweet, right, that he's looking for an org, right? He's not looking to sign with Cloud9 or whoever, right? He's looking for an org to play as the, you know, essentially the new god, whatever it would be, right? If you're the one player from that team who says, sorry guys, I got an offer from elsewhere that's going to pay 10% more, you know, unlucky, I guess, and you just screw 4 people out of their job after playing with them for a full year in tier 2, I just don't see that happening. I just can't, especially with a team like the God, where, you know, 4 of their players have played together for an extremely long time, right? I don't see it happening. Why would you do that to your friends, essentially, right? Your teammates, the people you've been with for an entire year, you know, and you won Ascension together, and now you're just gonna what, for like probably a bit more money, maybe even not, to be honest, if there's a big bidding war. Why would you do that if it means that everyone else is going to get screwed, right? Like, I just don't see how that would come about. I feel like however many of the God players need to stick together to make this happen, they will manage to do that, because you will always be known as the villain of like the entire scene if you were the guy who screwed your teammates out of a job. Right? Like, imagine how evil you'd have to be to do that. And so now it's going to be a very interesting situation for the God players and what they do. You know, obviously there's some big orgs there who didn't make it into franchising, right? Like G2, TSM, Optic, right? Like, those are some big orgs that, you know, are probably looking to get into, you know, franchising. And I've seen some people say like, oh, it's only for 2 years. You don't get any like team skin, you know, bundles or whatever, right? You don't get access to that. Will anyone, you know, will the orgs really care that much? Will there be that much of a bidding war or whatever? And I was just like, again, like, why are you in esports if you don't want to get into a league where you get money from Riot? It's a tier 1, like, esport that a lot of people care about and watch, particularly in NA. You know, one of these esports where, you know, one of the few esports where NA is actually good and, you know, has a big following and fan base. You get paid to be in it. If you make champs, you make quite a bit of money off that as well. Like, why would, like, if you're a big enough org, why would you not want this opportunity, right? This is a great opportunity. This is like the golden goose of esports, right? Like, why would you not want that for, even if it's just for 2 years, right? Like, why would you not? And then remember, these orgs that signed the partnership deals, those are supposedly only for 4 years, right? And when those contracts run up with the orgs, you know, Riot is in control. And if they don't like what an org has done, but maybe they really did like what you were doing whilst you were, you know, won Ascension and were in the league, then maybe you just become a full-time partner instead, right? If you can prove that you are, you know, better for the scene than, you know, one of these other teams, you know, you can then prove yourself to Riot and potentially get in, you know, for the long term of this game. So, you know, that's a big deal, I think. And yeah, I think there will be a bit of a bidding war. The God players kind of have, I think, quite a bit of power here, because it's kind of like, what if the God players brought forward an org that Riot didn't like? Would Riot be willing to say no under the threat that the God might tweet out that Riot is like if Valen or Trent or whoever like tweets out, oh, by the way, Riot is screwing us over. We wanted to sign with whatever org, but Riot said no. The backlash would be pretty extreme, I think. Even if Riot had pretty good reasons for why they didn't like that org, the backlash would be quite extreme. So I feel like the God players have quite a bit of power here, almost, you know, to pick an org, to probably create a bit of a bidding war between, you know, multiple decently sized orgs, you know, get decent salaries, get in there, and, you know, be competing in 2024, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted to see. And yeah, it's just going to be, you know, a good time. Right, and yeah, if you're the org, and even if you don't like the God players, probably after the very first little like 2-week tournament and the first Masters in Madrid or whatever that's going on, you know, you could change the players then if you wanted to. right? Like if you really wanted to, you could just change the players then if you didn't like the players for whatever reason, which would be scummy, but it could happen if if that was the case, which would be very the backlash for the org then would be pretty extreme as well, I think. So yeah, happy to see that this has happened. I wish the guard player or ex-guard players the best. The guard as an org, I'm glad they're out of esports, to be honest, because they kind of really messed this one up. You know, I know a lot of people got on Riot, but really, you know, the guard were the catalyst for why this all went so wrong. And I'm glad that Riot, you know, is willing to listen to feedback and change their mind when it probably is the right thing to do.